Yeah, I mean, courtesy of the fact that this ain't their map pick, they get side selection, and they should likely have a pretty solid set of defensive holds. Like you said, the timings that could be taken, maybe not so much as easily accessible as they are on Nuke, but there are certainly some windows of opportunity that can present themselves.
Yeah.
Short aggression into connector, maybe late round bathrooms takes as well from CT sides, can be super disruptive to deal with. And it's something that I imagine NKT will have to deal with at some point or another in this first half. They will start on this pistol, and 9 will have a bit of utility, even dropping one of the flashes, or actually all of that utility being dropped over from to him from Urcast. So Urcast running dry. He hasn't even utilized his own investment, and wanted to see if they can link up with a bit of connector and mid pressure.
Well, that connector pressure is going to have to start facing off versus a big old train that's run them down. Fury to fall and Short to be under attack, but rotations from CTs are very swift. They're going to have to go through a smoke, and controllers going through them. We put him to question, and he's put up the answer very early on into the game as well.
Yeah, about the worst place they could go, because all CTs are here, and Shinobi, the flash for him is perfect, just gunning him down. Bomb dropped out in the open for the CTs to swarm round. They were already in position. Now NKT have to fight out without any util.
No util, no bomb, no chance. Shinobi as well, reminding them that just because he's a ninja doesn't mean he can't use two pistols and get in their faces. NKT are going to be left reeling after that one. The only kills that they find that looked of any significance was a kill into connector, and that just sets them up for running into the biggest stack you've ever seen.
Yeah, this was a pistol I think they've seen before. ARAVT were very adamant about staying into that B bomb site once they deal with that connector player. It wasn't as though it was just a simultaneous split there from NKT to flush out the connector and stop and freeze. ARAVT were lying in wait for what was a B end, and they were there.
That's utility damage farmed up. Tamir is going to be feeling happy about that. Less so about the fact that Dobu steals Kenz's life away from him. That could have been an extra $600 in his pocket. Instead, he'll have to settle with just the 12.
Very low in middle, and then all of a sudden he's not. Magnum's swapping positions with Tamir to take up more of those fights and farming up some extra cash as well. So a little distribution. They had more than enough SMGs to go around all those ecos. They can all participate. Half full rifles out for NKT. This is a bonus round for ARAVT. You know, keeping in these MP9s. Not exactly ideal, but they pulled 3 MP9s in the first place. On CT Overpass, a lot of long-range angles. You actually do want to prioritize rifles. If they can get some rifles for free, that would be nice. See if these MP9s can find an upgrade.
There's basically no presence out on A over here from ARAVT, and they're purely reliant on this connector player, and maybe the monster player isn't getting aggressive though.
Just flush Fury into a peek into the connector, fighting for it just through the molly and immediately departing. Fury as well getting out of con. We'll just leave Tamir alone in the bathrooms. Now, there is going to be a rotate from Fury. He's gone the long way around and the safer way in doing so. But again, it's SMGs that are trying to lock in this A site.
Very slow from NKT, and Urcast is going to be able to find the crucial kill, which might enable them to get access to this bomb site. They have to be careful. Fury peeks out. No flashes there. The flashes are actually, I think, thrown out by the T side that end up blinding themselves. And with the spam being intercepted, Shinobi being tagged down and bagged down through the wall. What looked to be potentially a promising round from ARAVT turns out to be NKT just running all over this A site.
All the rifles are salvaged at the very least here for ARAVT, so they can save the most valuable assets that they had coming into this round. Again, we were understanding that this was a bit of a bonus here for ARAVT, and that there were going to be weaknesses in the site hold as a result of all of those SMGs. And the small damage I did design, it was unideal. You can see the angles that they were kind of, I think, tempted to play because of the weaponry they had as well. These like close range fights at bathrooms just means that they're also disconnected. They can't link up and support each other on the fights. It's one of the risks you take, and sometimes as well you see CT sides instigate the action with SMGs so that they can kind of reset on the bomb sites.
Especially in a map like Overpass, where you think back to some of the most famous A-side Overpass players, Fur, Rain. These guys are menaces in the bathrooms with an MP9.
Yeah, it can be really trying to play T-side Overpass because there actually are a lot of aggressive CT options and good fallback paths. Just because you spot somebody doesn't mean you're going to be able to chase them down. You can divider specific.
Oh.
Painful.
Very much so. Magnum is going to be hoping to make up for some of that pain. He spots out the jump spot, but he can't do anything about it. Fade away, and Tamir is also being grenaded down. That was on the jump spot, if I'm not wrong, which he was going for.
Funnily enough, same nade stack that they threw against ARAVT in their last encounter. Decided to go for it again and didn't get a confirmed kill from it, but it'll be a dead man walking.
Oh, man. Kent is sharp right now. He goes and gets himself another one as well while he's at it, and why not make it 3, baby?
Started to spam right back. Kent's, I mean, hell, he might just be on for an ace. AWP has rotated in, and Fury's out in graffiti. Dropping quarter now as well. The book into heaven does deny access, and Gun actually stops him from spotting Fury's peak. Progress on A instead here for NKT.
This could actually end up being a doable round for ARAVT because the op has made its way back over in time. If he can find Zine, that's the big one. But clearing this one in a hard clear will be difficult. There's only going to be a one-on-one, but Zine, oh, he's been able to lock it off. Molotov down under as well, and the fadeaway is necessary. There was actually no one watching the deep bank angle, so there was a world where he just swings out, hard clears that, and finds a kill, makes it a 2-on-2. But even then, would have been a difficult retake considering his lack of armor, their lack of hit, and Fury's lack of HP.
Yeah, he fired off a shot and was already calling the save, basically. I think they made that decision a little too far out into the bomb site. And they may not even be allowed to save these weapons. Magnum's, like you said, no armor, so if he misses a shot here, Urcast might just let him down. Bomb as well getting noise from the footsteps. Urcast does get found, but Zine the instant trade, so no AWP save, nothing for ARAVT, and a successful round chained here for NKT.
This is where some of these calls don't really... They come back to haunt you, because I can guarantee the call over there was something on the lines of, okay, if we get a quick kill and an immediate kill, if it looks like it's possible, we're going to be fine, we're going to try and go for it. But when you're relying on the other team to make that mistake, very often what will instead end up happening, especially when he fires off that shot revealing his position, what will end up happening is that you are just so much more likely to be hunted down because the Ts are okay with, throwing money at you when the CTs don't have full loss bonus in the first place.
By the way, anyone that's keeping tabs, I think Urcast just got shot by an eagle for 2 damage. Ken's taking a lot more damage than that in Connector. In fact, so much that he kills himself. All right, cooked alive in Con.
If I can't have my life, you won't either. At least they're able to stop the AK from doing anything else,
Yeah, Magnums can't escape out of Con.
Round. Okay, he's still good for 1, but what was basically a buffet delivered over to him ends up being the lobsters fighting back.
Something, crabs in a bucket. I know the analogy is they're trying to pull each other down from escaping out of the bucket.
Really? Okay, I've never heard that. I thought you were talking about fish in a barrel.
If you put crabs in, they're all stacked up on each other. Sometimes they can get organized enough to basically allow one to escape. But then there are other crabs in the community that would not like to see that guy get out of the bucket. Instead, they're just going to pull him down.
Wow. That's a really cool thing.
If you can't succeed, if I can't succeed, neither can you.
Well, maybe they're just gonna miss him. Crabs have feelings too. It's like when you don't want your childhood friend to leave for university. Because you know you're probably never going to meet them again, and you know you weren't really worth being friends with them regardless, and they were a better person than you, but you know you really don't want them to realize that and leave forever, so maybe it's better for them to go to community college.
Something a very
instead.
Convoluted story about.
I think it's a great analogy. I think it's a great analogy for what's going on right now, right? Yeah.
Well, an AK save here from Control is always nice. The extra damage that they did, in spite of the fact that NKT had this round in the bag, always ideal. They didn't exactly do the due diligence here on NKT to make sure that these rifles were dispatched of. Leave it on the floor for anyone to pick up. There was actually a world where they get away with 2 AKs as well, because obviously the early fight with Kents, and then there was an extra kill as well, close con. That's what they were hoping for when they threw the smoke, but wasn't to be. Full buy for ARAVT nonetheless, and continuing to go for the nades in mid are NKT. Magnum still peeking above it and waiting for a timing. Zyne very patient, usually the most patient player on the NKT side, often in these lurking roles. I mean, continuing to go for jump spots here on Tamir, in spite of the fact that, you know, we got double naded the round prior.
Tamir's faded away, and he's given up a lot of noise in doing so. There could be room for a boost up. Okay, not anymore. Now they realize what's going on. I know there's 2 players over in short. Tamir's dodged out most of that spam damage as well. And Fury's taking the time to push through long, but Fury has to be careful not to be caught out from Zyne, who's on the other side and going to be strafing back into him. This duel is going to be crucial. Fury crouching away, re-peeking in. Zyne is just going to fade, and the call's been made. And there's still a player on long. Flashbang goes deep. Zyne, the Fury's flashed up, but Kent is found completely out in the open. Not prepared whatsoever to be pushed into. Neither is Urkos, where Fury was missing shot. A flashbang would have given him a third. Zyne is left with just the 1 HP.
You know, Magnums is in the bomb site. Extra player as well. Linking up with the AWP. 20 seconds, they got to make a move. Full flash. Magnum's having to fall back and not anticipating the scaling, but Tamira is. It's not going to look good. Zyne, that 1 HP is all that's left, and no bomb to back it up. Can't even back up into long to save his life, in fact. So an equalizer round here from ARAVT on the full buy.
Solid stuff coming out from Fury. I mean, he just basically gives them the entire round. It looked like after he missed out the initial few shots on his line, no chance. But yeah.
It feels like we've seen Fury in a few of these spots where he's having to fight out of these positions, and he delivered on Nuke.
The interesting thing is that it feels like sometimes, and maybe this is me thinking recently, but it sometimes feels like he's not necessarily going to get the one that looks like someone's walking into him, but if he has to forcibly fight, that's when he wins out those duels.
Yeah, he's an animal backed into a corner.
Yeah. Saw that in lobby on Nuke, and we're seeing that outside. Oh, man. I was hoping I'm going to see a one-tap. Straight in they go. Dobu, maybe not one-taps, but clean sprays anyway. Good flashes as well. That's a great CS. Tamir, however, has dropped the bomb, one that will quickly be recovered, and the CTs have got nothing to do on this B-bomb site, but try and stay the hell away from it.
CS player's dream. Getting a full flashbang that goes around the corner, and you see that enemy that you're fighting full blind. Dobu set up perfectly for that double kill, and yeah, ARAVT just destroyed by that burst play there from NKT. They've been giving up a lot of short water control here on ARAVT in favor of playing more defensive in the bomb site, just hoping that they can continue to go for the jump spot. They've tried to keep things as similar as possible on these defensive holds, but now we're going to have to start to see some innovation, some things to change, because NKT have already done most of the legwork on this T side. 6-7 rounds as a good half on the attack, but maybe there's even more to be gained.
It's looking like it maybe even should be, because again, potentially one round away from resetting the CT side economy yet again. Even if the CT's buy right now, it's going to be scrappy, so either way, you're in a good place. Okay, CTs are buying up, and it's all right. I mean, Shinobi's forgot to buy it. That's a separate question, but it's not the worst thing in the world, but they're going to be heavily reliant on Magnums' AWP, which is something that we haven't really seen be a factor throughout most of this game so far. He's 3 and 4, which is coincidentally also the round score. Urkast. This is a chance, but Shinobi won't be making the same mistake. Dobu found and brought down, no one here to trade, and the T's, well, they might have been worried about the AWP saved up, but they should have been more worried about the Deagle.
Yeah, he's the guy who came in with the least amount of money into this round, and, well, still able to produce something from it.
They're not opening the connector door early every round, which is sort of what the metagame has shifted over to a lot more, especially if you're playing this heavy over to the B side early in these days. Good molly. Urkast. He's going to be forced back into a corner now. He's watching for it. Oh, Urkast knows what's going on. So much damage. Oh my god, he doesn't realize how close he was to being able to maybe even line up multiple kills. The grenades aren't going to do anything to him. It's a walk into the B bomb side being called, and with 35 seconds left, ARAVT are getting worried. They start to move back, but Control's kept a hold of this bomb site. There is a Molotov, but it's too late. It won't be here in time. The grenades as well been dodged over. Control is avoiding all the utility in the world. There's nothing they can do. Shinobi covering the cross. Urkast with 1, Urkast with 2, and Control still alive on the bomb site. Urkast and Zine trying to take control now. Just Zine left, and he's got himself a one-on-one bomb on his back, but an AWP on the other side, and Magnums has been peeked into. Right there and then. Ooh.
It was an absolute rat race. As soon as those double nades come in towards short as well, you know, that's a bit of an indicator as to what the setup is from ARAVT. There has to be 2 players doubled up in CT, so Controllers was left on a bit of an island, and once he fought this player out, then he had his backup there. That's what NKT were so concerned about. Even in this clutch for Zine, they could have been everywhere, all on this bomb site, didn't have time to clear out all of the pit position. And after he gets that first kill, thought it maybe even a bait, or they could have trailed out of heaven, but Magnum's just holding CT, waiting to see if he can maybe find a timing round the plant. One that never came. Really close round, and one that ARAVT had a lot of advantages in, really. This is a much better look from NKT, though. Players firing across the board, whether it's been Urkast on some of these entries, Zine as well on some of these lurking plays, and, you know, doing a great job as well in an almost round.
Yeah, that round was really just Zine and Urkast trying to bring it back just by sheer willpower. I don't know if Zine's heard them.
Masked it.
Fury found out.
Forced to fight. No success.
Talk about what a crucial player Fury has been to them, and especially in trying to get aggressive into these CT areas. And this time without that success, it's all about Shinobi and what he can do to try and prevent these players from coming out. And the quick double swing will be there. The flashbang is not good though. Zine still unaware of where Control is playing in from, so there's still a room for Control to try and come in with a backstep, but he's been slow about it, and now he's made so much noise. Zine knows where he is, and he was just hovering back, waiting for any sort of indication of a player from Connector or so as well. Tamir forced in as a Molotov will hit his back, and he's now in a 1-on-3 on the bomb site. The players are fading away from him. Magnum's making his way back over, up in hand, and yet again considering and contemplating the save. NKT, however, are going to have to fight this one out. The CTs are committing, and maybe they've committed too far and too hard. Magnum's unable to find the frag, flashed up, peeks out long his way. He's got another. The fadeaway is what he's looking for. Right back to bank if he can make it, but he's still fighting over here. There isn't a chance to win this round, and yet Magnums will continue to contest.
Zine, that's the last survivor. It's a very costly round here for NKT in spite of the fact they win this round. It's not as though this economy damage that ARAVT have gone for has benefited them all too heavily, because their money is also pretty shambolic, in a much worse position than NKT. But this effort from Shinobi, it is commendable. You know, good timing being found, and tried to sort of run and gun around that corner, and the A1F's actually very good at fights like that. Made it very difficult for NKT to line up that trade too quick, but that one opportunity, it felt like they had to come back into this round and actually sort of whittled down the numbers was Control. You know, he's often been a very patient player. His positional plays on Nuke were fantastic, and he had the one-up on Vine, but he overstepped and ran too much. Great effort from Shinobi to start things off.
His deagle has consistently been solid, but you can't say the same about Magnum's ult. He's been taken down, and Shinobi good for another one, but in the meanwhile, his teammates have done more than just disappoint. They've really been unable to follow up in any way whatsoever.
Such a strange thing to characterize with a player, but I almost think every time Kens is given a headshot angle, he has a higher success rate of just hitting the head. Like, when he's in a straight ground-on-ground duel, I feel like Kens' success rate sometimes is a little bit worrisome, but when he's been offered up 3 headshot angles, he'll pop you instantly. He's been so good at dealing with the Heaven rotate, or even dealing with water players on that B-bomb site. Mechanics on point. This guy's played a lot of like aim labs or something.
Control is gone. Man, this is where ARAVT will start to have this ball of wool unravel. This is where the economy hits that have been coming in time and time again are just going to continue through. Shinobi, good for the one, but traded out so swiftly. NKT up to 7 guaranteed now. Likely going to be able to make a run for 9.
You're telling me that Fury doesn't get a 4K and win this round?
His name is 5K, Michael. Not 4K. I don't write the rules. I just live by them. Sorry.
Yeah, it is rather unfortunate. Not even a 1K. Sad days for ARAVT. This is already a bit of a problem. The NKT side has built up a substantial amount of rounds already. And should this full-buy go askew, then ARAVT are going to find themselves in a deep pit. One of despair, perhaps.
I have to say, Shinobi's deagle is really, really good.
Yeah. That's been nice. And like we were saying, usually the names we talk about are Fury and Shinobi is like the main heavy hitters for ARAVT. Again, the AWPing of Magnums as well is one that is often highlighted, but he's genuinely not had the hottest of series. Control has been the revelation, the difference maker that has, I think, stepped up to the plate. But
very much
right
so.
now, ARAVT, even in holding their spots, it's been quite difficult. Like, you consider the difficulties NKT had in terms of breaching the connector against IHC. Score was doing a great job there, breaking into the B-bomb side, Techno. You know, we had these players in that upper bracket game that NKT just couldn't get past. And every time they tried to, there was like another player almost right behind them or taking up that same territory, that space, when NKT slowed things down. ARAVT have been very reactionary and playing very defensively the whole game, that it's been, I think, a little easier for NKT to feel that they can commit into these bomb sites after getting that kill because they're not expecting cheated rotates or something a little bit out of the ordinary from these CT sides. So expect that something is going to change dramatically, I think, in terms of how ARAVT approach this, because now they might start to enter a bit of a desperation mode.
I have a feeling this might be a technical timeout, not a tactical one.
Quite a long tactical timeout, if it was one.
Yeah.
Really bleeding out all the extra seconds.
Just making sure, man, you don't want to miss any tactics in that last second.
Adjusted the server to count in very long Mississippis.
What's the rest of the word?
Yeah, I mean, what? Mississippi.
And I'm emulating the server right now. Okay, that's what I'm trying to do over here. I don't know how to act like a machine. Just
like
can't do it.
Broadcaster one of those Phantom 4K cameras.
Real credit out to Zoin though. He's had a monster of a map right now.
He's been kind of a recovery player. Obviously, usually at kind of the back of the pack. Doing a good job of covering some of their flanks and, you know, maintaining some map presence over at A and connector.
I think one of the things that...
duels, but that'll happen.
One of the things that we don't really necessarily always have a conversation about, because we're so used to NKT being an international team, is how does the influx of Mongolian players sort of affect design in Kents as well? You know, are there more comms now happening in Mongolian in some of these rounds, etc.? You know, is there...
I would doubt that substantially, because Urkas has been on an Australian team before. Nine actually has very good English. We've seen some of his interviews that he's done, and Dobu's been a part of the NKT squad for quite some time now, so... No reason to believe that would be the case.
Oh, man. Sorry, guys, but you don't get to play CS the way the rest of us do. You get to play it with a lot less HP.
Gosh. Yeah, doing the technical polls, they haven't changed really much of anything here on ARAVT. Still going for the boost plays and not taking aggressive short order control, not setting up for... The posturing is very similar to all the other rounds that have been played out so far. But at some point, some things do need to shift rounds. Sometimes it does come down to hitting your shots. They have been in some good positions and, you know, flubbed a couple of lines.
At the very least, this is still a spot where they've got the right players in the right area. You know, 4 and B and Fury just jump spotting like a madman on a monkey bar.
Yeah, it's very loud about it. If somebody did somehow creep front bathrooms, they'd hear all of this. And now 9, I think, has spotted at least one happy bunny inside of the site.
Bomb is making his way back over as well, and as Urkos has found out, the aggression into short water is what gives them the cue for the CTs to rotate as well. 20 seconds, good flashbang. Fury is able to find the crucial kill. Shinobi follows up as well, and although there's a trade, we've got to keep an eye out on the clock because that might be what matters more than anything else. Control. Rotate is late, and as Magnums will fall, Shinobi's been at 4 HP from the start of the round. Good. Nicely placed crosshair. Did look like maybe he's able to light something up, but that wall bomb doesn't really work, and Shinobi's life doesn't either now that he has been pulled down a peg. All down a control. 1-on-2 late rounds are his speciality, but he's good about denying the bomb, not recovering it necessarily. 9 will swing out with the trade, and NKT will find the 8th.
Yeah, great rifling there from 9. Again, one of these strengths we often highlight for a player that is talked about as this you know, star AWPer that is of a caliber within the Mongolian scene. Can really show some devastating work on the rifles and shows just how good he is at taking that space and finding these trades as well, even in spite of the fact that this full flash came out over at long, instant trade, and making sure that the rotates were never comfortable for ARAVT. Very, very nicely played from 9 throughout, positionally, and, well, the sharpshooting is there too. This is a nightmare scenario here for ARAVT because it's shaping up to be a potentially looking like a 9th round here for NKT at a minimum, and they could find themselves into double digits starting T side, and that's not exactly the scoreline we expect.
Yeah. Unideal. Putting it lightly.
Good to see an NKT bounce back though, you know, not shaken too much by what happened yesterday.
I still think we'll have to wait for actually the second series of the day if NKT are able to close this one out before we can really put a firm stamp on that, because I'd like to see the adjustments that come in later on, because even now Magnums is not having like right of the time, and you can't say the same about Annihilation yesterday. So that discrepancy is still something that I'm predominantly looking forward to seeing that being addressed. Similarly, you know, ARAVT is one of the things you've been maybe critical or at least observant of the most as well, Michael, is something I agree with you. They've got one setup effectively, and they're running very repeatedly.
Yeah. Like occasionally they'll fight for the mid fight, but don't often hold for very long.
Like there was going to be a chance for that Hobbit angle to be found out. Magnums is... Oh, that chain needs to start making something work. Urkast, however, just peeks in, gets one. Makes it look easy, and Dobu's going to be here late on the trade as well, potentially, as Kent will be able to find a timing window as Fury will peek forward. Kent is hoping to box him in. Spam as well to be chucked out, but he's got players on all sides and no flashes to peek back into them. Zine unable to find one, and Magnums gets 9, who's tunnel visioned on Connector. NKT's round falls apart, and it's around Fury that ARAVT finds success yet again.
Yeah, Con is a real issue if Fury is going to be occupying it so heavily. They've been playing so passive that they haven't considered it in past rounds. Good kill from Dobu. Missed shot from Magnums is punished. So 1-on-2, there is a flank coming, and Controllers will, in fact, push further. So he might just go for containment, but sealing in the round here for ARAVT. I actually think NKT had a pretty good read on how that round was playing out. Understanding that there was going to be somebody aggressive into short water, you know, they naded open the connector door as well, so a bit of a tell maybe, considering ARAVT haven't been doing that typically when they're holding from the bomb sites. But even in spite of them knowing what the setup was looking like, they couldn't find these players. They couldn't actually hunt down these kills.
NKT, oh, Magnums. Oh, Magnum has to find that, but Urkos will just put in some divorce papers between Magnum's head and his body.
That was a bad smoke he wanted to peek over too.
Yeah.
Like, that's way too shallow for the one-way.
Kent is at least found, so it's a 1-for-1, but the CT smoke is going to be late. There was a chance for there to be a peek. Urkos fully flashed up, and Shinobi to take advantage of that flashbang. Peek forward. Looks like ARAVT will be able to at least string together 6, if nothing else. But NKT, they're still in this contention. Dobu finds a freebie and a 4-on-2 for Tamir to push in. Like, that is definitely questionable. Shinobi doing the same, but at least he's found the bomb. So as they start to rotate back for it, they will find themselves heavily contested. But this bomb could be a trap. So often we see CTs discovering a deep drop bomb only to end up being eliminated themselves in contention. Shinobi had to adjust his aim as well, and that's exactly what I was worried about. Brings it back to a 2-on-2 with time aplenty to pick between the sides. NKT, it is time to rock and roll, and they're the ones with the guitars and drums. Question is, who's going to be banging on them? As Dobu makes his way forward. Nice angle from the short player, but Controllers has been peeked into. Fury can do nothing about this but try and close the distance. Dobu alone in this contest, but he's been eliminated. 9 now in a 1-on-1. Hop around the corner. Misses his first Tech 9 pulled up, but Fury will save the day. One that went far too long. ARAVT string together the 6th, and how they have to heave and hoe to do it. We'll have to see whether they can do anything better in the second half, as this one looked tumultuous. We'll be back after a short break with more action. A struggle for ARAVT to find the 6th, but NKT now have got to try and close things out on the CT side. It looked solid, but that can quickly come to a halt as well.
Fury, Connector, and Nuisance, and, well, they're actually really wanting to fight for this on NKT. Getting a kill in response from 9, opened the door, and immediately backing out of there as well. But this kill in mid is critical, one that can't be found by Magnums. So after the early advantage, fought back for by NKT. They've taken so much damage as well. You can see Dobu going for some kind of containment outside of B, so understanding that it's likely to be some kind of an A-lean, but they spotted 2 connectors, so they have to keep their wits about them.
Look at how Controller just looks like he's shudder beaking this. Just gotta be careful, check all the angles, make sure there's no one with a USB getting ready to karate chop me out of the server.
It can kind of only be him, because he's got full HP.
Look at Dobu coming in from behind. He's got a timing. Dobu's going to be able to find this bomb potentially as well. We've got to keep an eye out on him. And Tamir has been found. Dobu connects, and 9 will come right in there with them. With the knowledge of the bomb being dropped, Dobu's got to be careful. He knows Fury was last revealed in connector, but he's thinking that surely Fury has left by now. 20 seconds. Fury spotted out on the divider, and although he hasn't recovered the bomb, he's just going for the straight up deals. 9 is more than happy to pick up his sword and fence him down.
Kind of a crazy reaction for NKT. They took these fights in connector, and it was actually going really well for ARAVT, if not for the fact that that NKT decided to swing open that connector door. You know, they get these 2 opening kills, and this is kind of a madman peek from Zine, but he actually brings them back into the equation. Fought very vehemently to be a nuisance and stopped ARAVT in their tracks. You know, they had to really rely on Control to take more space and take those fights, and he couldn't really get those duels. Again, 3 SMGs on CT, not the biggest fan, but again, an opportunity where they can farm up extra cash against the upgrade, or what they might even consider to be the eco, but it could be a vulnerability. The MP9, it shoots fast, but the Deagle only needs 1 to finish you.
Also, there is the Galil on the other side as well. You know, there's that to keep in mind.
I almost feel like the upgraded weapons usually less exciting than the Deagles.
I agree. That's for certain. This grenade does a little bit more than the previous one did, but so far all the damage that ARAVT had received up till now was all courtesy of HEs. Flash is decent, but 9 is not going to be found. As the smoke dissipates, Zine will close the distance, close the gap, and find a shadow, find a front to attack. Quick few come in, but Dobu steals his MP9's money making away, and he does it again. What a dastardly demon Dobu is.
Kill for the Galil, but wasn't even in the hands of the original owner. In fact, it's a nice little upgrade for Urkas. Didn't need a bonus round when you lose 1 SMG and you upgrade out of another. It's been very impressive. Not even just 4-9 and Annihilation and, you know, these AWP rifle hybrid players, but just kind of the next generation of player. They don't have some of the weaknesses and some of the drawbacks we used to highlight once upon a time of like, oh, we got the AWP rifle and all that. No, of course,
yeah,
that's the expectation.
I mean, people don't remember JDM, but God, that was a real...
Quite a timeline. Quite a timeline.
Also, back then, all the North American operas used to be terrible riflers. You know?
I wouldn't say all were terrible, but they definitely weren't expected to get many rifle kills.
Okay, that's just a nice way of phrasing it, but I'm just I'm just saying.
Like for the eye test, you could tell they weren't terrible. It was just like compared to people that have been rifling their whole careers. Obviously,
man, I don't know, man. Like JDM was definitely a little bit of a question mark, but hey,
yeah, maybe there were a couple that were egregious. I will admit to that.
Yeah.
But
well, those are old times, and now it's all about the new, and the new is. Well, we've got some pretty banging spanking riflers on the server who've got to start making a move. Flashbang is good, second is better. 9, however, can't use this one way because he doesn't realize Shinobi's crept right under it. Urkas will find some space around the smoke, but only to be quickly brought down by a Glock that he was not expecting. A Galil recovered. Tamir has got this bomb site, and what should have been the easy round is instead the round that has slipped out of their fingers.
mean, they should just save, but they're so heartbroken about how this one's gone that they'll let their emotions get the better of them. Kent's trying to at least equalize the affair, make it some type of a feasible moment, but Tamir, great shooting on the Galil. Yeah, this round should have never been anywhere close. That's why we're talking about the past. We're, you know, expecting things to go kind of as well as the last Force Buy went for NKT. But instead, it somehow goes all sorts of pear-shaped. Shinobi breaching that gap, and like you said, the Tamir Glock is what instigated what ended up being a 3K for him in the round.
Why is pear-shaped a bad thing?
It's not that it's a bad thing. It's just that it's, you know, it's a bit wavy. You know, it's the ups and downs, the curvature. It's not uniform. It's not as expected, I think.
Okay. Have I understood that idiom?
If we think of time as a linear function, right? You know, if it's pear-shaped, that's a bit unorthodox, a bit strange.
I guess. I suppose. So is the fact that Zion is the first one to find a kill over here with his CC, I suppose. Smoke down, flashbangs present, and Zion has been, rather 9, God, 9 has been relegated back towards the same bomb site where some rotations have also been called in. Now NKT might be jumping the gun a bit with these, with how low their utility is though. I don't blame them.
I want to see how ARAVT pull this one together. They've got more than enough utility to execute onto this B bomb site, and the fact that they lost one of these players earlier on after they clear the connector, I don't think they're going to have enough time to really think about going back to that A bomb site. So B execute does seem like it's on the way, and NKT do have 3 in position. Pretty standard setup, but they don't have a lot of counter utility to slow them down and allow those A players to link up, considering they've taken long control.
Full B-sided execute is going to be here, but the rotations are going to be timely regardless. Molotov doesn't look like it's gone where it should have. It actually ends up funneling them all in through short, and Kent is more than happy to take advantage of that haphazard positioning. There's just the 2 left, Fury and Magnum trying to fight their way out. Wow. Magnum's giving them a chance, but Fury now left alone. 1-on-3, first one should have been a freebie as Urcaster jumps. I would end up revealing him, but even so, NKT will find the 12th off the back of a great round from Kent and Zion.
Yeah, I thought this might have been a bit of a run over on that B bomb site, but the CT counter flash did stop the progress there from ARAVT, and then like you said, these fights from Kent and Zion were just so great when they came into entering this B site. Bit of a surprise that the only rifler to succeed was in fact Magnums, who shows us some sharp shooting of his own, but always a bit of a troubling position. You know, you lose your connector lurker, you're kind of unsure about where that player has gone. Maybe even they thought they contained him and had to really clear it out. So they were actually funneled into one option, and that was why 9 as well was pushing the A long side. Make sure that it was indeed the correct move for NKT to stack the site. Oh, wow. Good eyes.
Nice one. Just a small gap right underneath that playground. 9! He's just coming through, dominating anyone who wants to face him off. You start to wonder what happens if he has an AK or an A4 there.
I think that's actually one of the benefits of the A1S, funnily enough. The AWPer and Magnums not quite realizing the imminent danger he was in.
Yeah, but it's nice to have more bullets.
That is true. Bring back the old A1S, reduce the damage, bring back the old fire rate. The world is ready for it.
Do you think it should have more fire rate, less damage? And more bullets?
More fire rate, less damage, more bullets. It's basically like the old A1S, I actually think we would.
The original A1S, you mean?
Yeah, the original A1S. Without any of the bad sounds.
Yeah.
And I don't make this sound bad, but ARAVT actually have a pretty good advantage if they accelerated over towards this A bomb site. Dobu is alone, but Dobu's nade has whittled down the numbers.
Oh, he's also spotted them both with just a single jump spot and knows there's no one in long. This is so well played from Dobu. Molotov also goes awry. Now they have to be so much more careful. Urkas just trying to jiggle around these corners, and Control's been able to find him. Dobu's position is still something they're aware of, and Shinobi will isolate. Control even putting the bomb away in time to find Kents in the backlines. It looked like NKT set up for success, but man, that's a sharp recovery.
Yeah, a 3-on-2 that they're able to beat their way out of. I mean, they got themselves in such a good opening into this round. You know, 9 getting those 2 kills, 4-1-3 from there, but then an isolated duel where, you know, we talked a lot about how ARAVT were playing, I think, maybe even too contained inside of bomb sites. NKT felt like they were too spread out, given that they had a man advantage to work off of, even if it was in the early stages of the round. Of course, just great shooting from Shinobi in control in the 2-on-3. Thought for sure Shinobi, even if he got all those kills, would have had to then recover the bomb and have to deal with the flank. Never even a situation that was entered into. I mean, NKT have lost to what was a bit of a cobbled together buy from ARAVT. Wasn't even really a buy, there was like 1 AK, and everything else was pistols, upgraded pistols. And now they've lost a round in which they get better production out of this solo mid peak than I think they would have expected.
Magnums really likes that jump spot.
It is a hard shot to hit if you are aggro on long, so it is like a safe way to peek and get info.
It's also kind of scary sometimes if you think there might be an AWP around the corner. Obviously this round NKT is not going to have one, but it's one of those things. So ARAVT, this is their window. They need to find this round out, and with 9's demise, this is the first big chance that they have to close through and really start finishing this gap off that there is between them and NKT.
Yeah, the one rifle that they brought forward, already dispatched of, is pretty important. It's out of their reach as well. Has always been AWP'd jumping back of dice. Very retrievable, very recoverable for any rotates. Now the pack moving outside of A long. 35 seconds to actually get this one formulated. And spotting the jump spot, there should be the rotates coming in now for NKT. That should be an indicator to lean one additional player at least over. And now the execute for ARAVT. They just burst in.
Oh, quick trade though. Zine had done the initial damage necessary. Maybe there's a chance for them to pull out a kill or two, but beyond that, it's all down to Dope, who needed to find a bomb planter, but he's just not able to locate him. The right is good, and Urkast pushing through the smoke has found the timing. He's got 1 damage out of the second. These two players are so low. Kent is an MP9 for it as well. Magnum's trying to rotate around, and with the 10-second defuse on the line, Kent is unlikely to find anything unless he gets the instant tap onto Magnum's. Now, Magnums, remember, his HP is looking mighty dry. And Kent, if he's not found out over here, Magnums would have been really lamenting that fact, but he's able to check out both sides at the end of the day. He's not having the wool pulled over his eyes.
Yeah, good job from Magnums to, as well, go for these off-angle defuse spams. You know, not only was he the one that opened up this round, but he's the one who closes it as well for ARAVT. Some people spam directly on top of exactly where the bomb was planted in an effort to try and get somebody off the defuse, but it was a really hard round for them to win. Urkast, like you said, almost made this possible, but I think needed to get that kill to ever feel safe in defusing that bomb on NKT. It's a close effort, but no cigar.
Now just the USBs.
Yeah, they went for a triple boost in at Graffiti to see if there was any early short pressure, but I think the boost broke down and they knew someone was connector, so now they're just leaning over to that A-bomb site, and that's actually looking like the correct read. Most of the pack are, in fact, in bathrooms.
This is also where ARAVT, I mean, it's not just a chance for 10, it's a chance maybe even for 11. No, NKT is not going to have very much money to take forward. I think they've got their own $2,400 loss bonus now, so incendiaries are definitely going to be running dry unless you want to switch out for MP9s. Either way, you've got one more round of an advantage if you're able to clean this one out. ARAVT could feasibly make their way back to an even Steven scoreline.
Definitely looking like that could be the case. It's kind of unfortunate, you know, they set up all these players over at that A-bomb site, and as much as they would have been tempted into it based on the kills that they got, there are also just too many SMGs, I think, for this to have ever really been a possibility. Just super hard fights to take, and once they even realized that these guys were pushing and you know, probing for information with those USPs. They just sent the bomb the other way. Let those SMGs hunt. Not a round that was feasible, but I do agree the limitations of this CT side as a result of the lack of Molotovs might be something that comes back to bite them, but it's no guarantee. The fact that ARAVT were, I think, even greedy enough, I think that is a perspective we can have, given that the game is quite close, to go for SMG buys can be a bit of a negative to be held, but they can also still find some impact. 9 Dobu, no head armor. Those MAC-10s are a nuisance when that's the case. Double nade.
That was too far back for that one.
Didn't make it,
yeah. No, Shinobi's caught out though. They are aware of the triple nade being chucked forward, and they're trying to capitalize off the back of it. Kenson aircraft have got solid angles to try and do so, but okay, that looked like it was on point. He didn't get a single bullet in.
Yeah, it's a very defensive headshot angle that Shinobi's spamming from, so it could have been dangerous, but I've never seen a T-side take so much damage outside of, you know, maybe like a rush stack that they've landed on top of a nade or something. This is all from utility and these aggressive CT fights that NKT were taking. This should be a pretty solid site hold. If ARAVT try to go for a burst into either of these bomb sites, no one's going to really feel comfortable in the duels that they're taking. They're relying on these trade frags, and it can be very easy to line up into a multi-kill as a result of all that earlier damage.
9 is indeed. Well, I thought he was in the perfect boost. Turns out not so much. He doesn't agree with me on that one. Wanting to switch right back, and Zine uses the smoke to his advantage. Finds a quick frag onto Tamir. And 9 and company now spot out how many players are coming in from long. 9 does manage to interrupt that bank smoke just a little bit. Zine will now take the time to reposition and get back over towards the toilets area. What a cover from 9. He uses that bank smoke as it's been dropped as a one-way. And Shinobi being found out, ARAVT have been completely manhandled this round.
Yeah, it's all off the back of that earlier damage information that they got over at B. They didn't want to, I think, overcommit to those fights. You know, losing track of which players are low and which players are high is actually something that CT sides have to consider to a certain degree. If they did end up just pushing back into B, I think they would have been a lot more dangerous to deal with. But even with the execute they tried to throw on this A bomb site, the fact that 9 was able to interrupt that smoke and effectively one-way it around the side, very beautiful stuff. You know, great recognition immediately to the smokes coming over his site.
Oh, Magnums did spot an elbow, but nothing beyond that. Just a little tease. NKT have not been putting themselves in a position necessarily to just get hyper-aggressive and try and take some straight aim deals, which I appreciate on one level, but I'm also getting a little bit worried about, because they are opening themselves up to a possibility of just being swarmed onto a side should ARAVT decide to go slightly faster as well. Connector presence lacking from them in this round, and a full execute at this stage would not be the worst thing in the world.
There's a few flashbacks to what ARAVT were doing on their CT side as well, but except these gimmicks and these stacks are instead over towards A.
No one jump spotting this time.
Yeah, 9 was doing it in a prior round. That's why Magnums is so fixated on the idea.
Oh, Magnums finds him. And right as 9 drops down, Zine's position should also be known. He's consistently been playing a similar spot as well. But as he moves back over to a place where we saw Blitz get a lot of success yesterday, you would love to have a flashbang for long as soon as the smoke is diffusing. But they're not going to wait for it. Quick pop in, and they've got the 2. Bomb has been dropped, and Shinobi trying to move inside the smoke. He's heard the Molotov, and Kent is aware of the possibility of a push. But with 15 seconds, Shinobi prioritizes the other duel. Kent is left in a 1-on-2 as he finds another. Makes a quick headshot as well. Work out for him, and Fury is now all alone. The reload will give away Kent's position and the fact that he hasn't gone back in. But Fury's spot is known. Fury peeks in instead. Uses the HP advantage in his favor, and ARAVT will find the 11th, but it looked damn close.
Yeah, Kens is so sharp on some of those fights, and you can tell there was a real nervousness creeping on Fury there, but extra damage that was done by his teammates as well just has that edge in the fight. Even if Kens wanted to win that duel, it would have had to be a dink and then a follow-up headshot very likely. Super difficult to land that duel. AK advantage, we often say. But this is a nice little adaptation, or a nice little read based on how NKT have been setting up on this A-bomb site. Little pressure, 9 breaks down the boost, goes for that jump spot over it at Bank. That's a tendency, a habit in terms of the fluidity of what he's doing on that CT side. Magnus had a great read. Almost a shame that Kent couldn't find that kill round the smoke. He would have had Urcast as an extra element to this retake. Very, very close affair. I can kind of dig it. NKT upgraded pistols, MP9 as a result, you know, hovering around that 2K marker for a future round.
And look, this game isn't over, and I don't think ARAVT are out of it. I think ARAVT are very much actually leading their way back in. NKT look like they're working with some dwindling confidence, and in this round, dwindling numbers at times. But I get scared if NKT make it through, man. If this is the same NKT we're going to see against IEM, it's going to be rough.
I think both teams are showing some shaky natures, and one that's going to be... I mean, you imagine IEM looking at this game and thinking, yeah, we can take him for both. I think it's fair to say they have set themselves up to be one of the best teams in Asia, and have shown that in some of their results. He actually went through with it. I can't believe he went through it. I saw him get close, and I was like, there's no way. I mean, there's no need. There's no reason. And yet, Tamir was like, there's a chance I get a free kill here.
Who knows? Maybe there's money on the other side. No, he's not even the one with like an MP9 or something.
He did at the very least create some space for his teammates to then end up at that B-bomb site, so, you know, fair play. But maybe you could have waited the smoke out to do that as well. You know,
yeah, that's total copia.
There's a total timeline where you just also survive. Another ARAVT round, regardless. So, a sacrifice, a blood sacrifice at that, necessary perhaps. 12-13 will be the scoreline. Shouldn't be allowed to save. Yeah, pretty poor timing on that. I won't find a better one.
They need aggression from 9. Like, enough is enough. You need to have an aggressive op. You need to know where they're going first. It seems like in so many of these rounds that ARAVT are finding, it's not because they're winning or losing early exchanges. It's because they have no reason to take those early exchanges.
They also just haven't been pressured in like fast conflanks or being pushed over at that B side. They can feel pretty safe when they're setting up for utility.
I think haven't been pressured is that's just the perfect way to describe everything that's been going on in this half. NKT don't look like they pressured them in almost any way, and now that's going to be changed. Now you've got 3 players looking to focus around Fountain and try and make sure that anyone trying to get into those playground positions will be completely neutered. Fortunately, no one found.
Yeah, 9 slid off the boost, so didn't feel comfortable rebuilding it. Zine will still hold position into party. And 9's rotating all the way back to that B-bomb side because Kents don't hear a damn thing. Did a good job as that B anchor, just at least feigning like there were extra players there.
It was found. Tamir to shut him down. And now these CTs are split up. They're going to be so heavily reliant on an individual level. And it is just Kent trying to stay inside the Molotov. 9 is blown off the site. NKT now have to save these 2 players. There's no way they get back on or in. I mean, my only question is, why is it that ARAVT always get to take the deal on their own conditions? And on one level, I appreciate the attempt this time from NKT. On the other level, I have to say, ARAVT counters it out perfectly just by waiting.
Yeah, it's like some of the same drawbacks that we saw of the ARAVT CT side. You know, very defensive setups, very infrequently going for anything different. You know, we have seen, I think, NKT show more aggressive signs, but even in spite of that, it's been a far few. There's been too few of those attempts. You know, we saw 9 get aggressive in a number of rounds into Playground, and it was rather successful. But then they were sometimes still losing that man advantage that was found. So I think it was about trying to reestablish control, but in doing so, they have played a more passive game and actually just allowed ARAVT to, like you said, be comfortable in the way that they approach the map. They're taking these fights on their own terms. Part of the problem in this round, of course, Dobu had what looked like to be a free kill, would have likely been traded afterwards, but that's a kill unconfirmed, and because of the fact they wanted to go for this heavy mid-pressure setup where they were certain ARAVT would go for the toilets play like they have in a number of rounds prior, they were too spread out, like you said. It's not as though these moves from NKT, especially the last round's move, aren't justifiable, but ARAVT are doing such a good job of grinding down what could be some aggro moves. Good move, though, from Zyne. He's found a kill on what was, I think, a triple boost onto short with that AK. This feels like a very losable round for ARAVT. Man down, giving up
More
all
than
that
any
B-side
other
control.
More than any other round in quite a while is really goes to tell you the story. It's very similar to what we actually saw in Nuke, which is where it seemed like ARAVT was taking control again, but the time where they lost out was when their economy got reset and then they just didn't have a chance from there. This could be similar. If this is the round where NKT managed to have a big individual pop-off, it's just going to be the difference maker. Urkost getting ready to move in, and the spray from the other side through the smoke just reveals positions and reveals the only solitary presence. Zyne's found another in the meanwhile. Urkost will not be checked. No way. Especially when there's a USB dink that's already come in and more noise being made by 9 as he's trying to fade away. These T-side players are not going to know where Urkost is, and as I say that he has been spotted out, but he's still managed to lock these players in, and with a grenade to end things out, Urkost is still fighting. Magnums is all alone. 4 players, 4 from NKT managed to keep themselves alive. The chaos that was created in that situation, ARAVT had no idea how to deal with it.
Yeah, the smoke that goes down onto Banana is perfect because of the fact they have such a heavy long setup. As soon as that short player starts to realize that he can't link up with those teammates, it's a very difficult position to be in. Even having the fact that there was a USP and a rifle to consider. This is that triple boost that I was talking about that opened up the round, but Zyne ended up with a triple kill coming into this and saving, I think, NKT from what was a disaster-looking half. That's a bit of nightmarish stuff there for ARAVT. We noted the fact they had these 2 rifles coming into the round, but they, I don't think, expected them to have as much impact as that.
Oh, fast into the B-bomb side. They're trying to change things up, but there's so many of the CTs already available over here.
Oh my.
Tamir trying to catch them out. Tamir's lost his aim. The spray is gone. Fury now has to recover, but the trays from Kents, they're far too good. Control back in to the smoke. He goes. Another player right around the corner. Not expected. Urkost not communicated, and now it's all about him. Player drops down and barrels Shinobi to lose his HP for the duel, but wins it out at least 9. Bringing it back to a 1-on-2. Shinobi on the fadeaway, spots him out, but it's through the shells. The shells cover him off. 9's USB to give them 15. NKT now on the verge of eliminating ARAVT in a heartbreak fashion.
And they should have been pried open like nothing else. The space that Tamir made at the start of this round, the fact that he got nothing for that effort is what comes back to haunt them. Some great stuff in terms of the pathing there for ARAVT. The burst onto B, I don't think NKT expected how quick they would have scaled up, but they're able to adapt their spray, and when it came to this 2-on-2, that double heaven play, like you said, the shells as well, blocking off 9, played it safe enough there for NKT. And man, the bank is burning here for ARAVT in what is fighting off series point. It's been a close series. First map came down to the wire. 16-14 win for NKT when ARAVT almost, hell, might have even deserved to win to some degree. Now after such a commendable effort, bringing things back on this T side as well, might fall short at, again, that final hurdle. 2 Galils, 1 AK, and 2 upgraded pistols. That's the equipment they've got to work with. They do have utility at the very least, so if they try to go for one of these burst executions, something that we've known and characterized ARAVT for at least having within the siege, even with them chopping and changing players, they always seem to maintain at least a little bit of structure. This will be them out of the running. This is a elimination match. ARAVT, commendable as they might be, would say goodbye to their chances of making it to an RMR.
And it has been a run from them, but that run might be coming to a close. So much presence on this B-bomb side, and as soon as that step is made, you can see Zion on the minimap has started to rotate over as well. A second swarm attempt, but it's Suga smoking through Dobu's line of fire. They have to go. Molotovs galore. 40 seconds as the clock ticks down low. There's 3 on the other side. Fury to come through with 1. Urcast and Dobu combine their forces and flashes to defend and stop the aggression of ARAVT. Heartbroken and now eliminated. NKT will instead move forward and face off against IHC in the rematch to see who can be the representative for the rest of Asia qualifier. What a showing from ARAVT. Both these maps coming down to the same story. They figure it out. They've got the formula, but one round goes all too wrong. They lose their economy.